Any further questions? I have.
Okay, I actually encourage you to ask questions. It doesn't matter. Proposingly, the fourth lecture is on this Lorentzian thing, which is not yet over. So there isn't a completely satisfactory understanding of this. So the last one is, I know is too big, it can be cut anyways. No, one thing that probably I want to do, which was at the end of the last lecture, is, I don't know, because these things are, they are already on online, because the similar one for the Corfu one, I don't know if you want to put online. There are references which I forgot to say last time. Let me just say, for the first lecture, as I say, there is the Bronstein lectures, which is now in general relativity gravitation. The more recent discussion is Doppler, Fredenhagen, and Roberts. And then, of course, if you talk of non-commutative geometry, the main reference is the book of Kohn. But so the more modern work by the master is Kohn and Marcolli, but especially the book of Kohn is something that you should read after you know non-commutative geometry. I always compare it to Feynman lectures of physics. If you are straight out of high school, you try to read the Feynman lecture of physics, you won't understand anything. So you start from a more modest manual like Colin and Resnick, you know things, then you read and say, oh, fantastic, all this connection, and all this. And Kohn is like that. He starts on the spectrum of atoms, and he gets to K theory and everything. So unless you know what those things are, that you are completely lost. Once you know, and that probably the best way to learn is the book of Gracia Bondia, Varini, and Figuerea, and another good book is Landi. It's a bit old, but it still holds very very well the time. I looked at it recently. And then there is a short version, it's chapter 6 of the book with, which I have written, the book with Wes. Then for the topology of space representation, GNS, etc., the book of Doran and Fell is the one which I studied. And this is the manifold characterization is this paper by Kohn, and I think that's all. This paper by Kohn is interesting. There was a preprint, and the preprint took nearly 1 year, probably a little more than 1 year to be published, because the referee was stopping it, and the referee was Kohn himself. So he had put the preprint, but he wanted to, he wasn't completely satisfied. So the preprint was out, people were already quoting it, but I know because Gian Milandi was the editor, and he had stopped Gianni from publishing, because I want to understand it better. So it was stuck as a submitted paper, but the self-referral of Alan Kohn to himself was stopping the paper for some time. Of course, he didn't need published paper to get a job, so so he could wait. But because if you see the preprint number is long, much before than the actually publication in Journal of Non-Commutative Geometry. The preprint is 2011 or 12 or something.
I think it's even older. I think
probably older.
2008 or 9.
Okay, but from the time he submitted, he put the preprint, then he waited, then he submitted, then he said it's okay. He said no, wait a little bit, and don't accept it yet, and so it was. Something. Yeah, because there was a wrong proof by someone else, and then he decided that it was time to prove it, and he actually has proved it.
So did he revise it in between?
I don't think very much. I don't think very much. He wanted to. See, there are even the published version. Some of the rules, the axioms, are non-commutative in nature. So there are some ambiguities, because you can characterize manifolds, but then the way you generalize, there is always a little bit of ambiguity. because some concepts collapse in the commutative case. So he wanted to sort of make sure, or I don't know. In any case, he wasn't fishing for citations in Scopus or something in which you need a paper to be published. And so.
So are his papers or discussed in, say, Bourbaki series or something like that?
He's not so much of a propagandist, no. No, you know, a little sociological comment. We are in a funny period in which, in general, young people are the ones that make strongest contribution. But now young people, unfortunately, are forced to do something quick, otherwise they will not get a job. And the great people don't need to get a job, and so they can do something more leisurely. And this is wrong, because the young Kohn was probably much better than the 60. He was 60 when he did. And so the fact that we have this push of publishing, otherwise we don't get an ex-postdoc and we don't get a job, but even if we have a job, you have to be evaluated every 3 years and something, and age factor, etc., is probably damaging science. Because only Kohn could, I couldn't afford to have a paper and not publish it. Because I'm evaluated every 3 years. No, I don't lose my job, but I lose my grant. So if I write a paper, once I'm confident enough to put it on the archive, then it's fine with me. I can wait a week. I can wait to give a seminar to make sure that I haven't written nonsense. But I'm not going to afford not to publish it for 2 or 3 years. And I am a full professor, but unless I get a grant, my students, and so on. So only Kohn can really afford this. And this is not for my contribution, but for the contribution of a young person, a young Kohn somewhere. And okay, that's for sociology, and we can finish.
Okay.